Hey, it's your boy Jim CB, man. We back with another video for the channel, man. And look, to be quite honest with you, after all these years, man, truth be told, when it comes to somebody like Keefe D, man, and the Orlando Anderson 2pac situation, to be honest, Keefe D should have been in jail, for this and whatever other crimes he's committed, because at the end of the day, you've gotten on interviews, numerous amounts of interviews back and forth on different platforms such as Vlad, Art of Dialogue, Cam Capone, Bomb First. You've been on all of these different platforms numerous of times. And shout out to all the platforms, man. Y'all doing your jobs. Y'all interviewing who y'all interviewing. Somebody comes with a story as a journalist, as a content creator, you have a right to put out this content and any type of content you would like. But at the end of the day, Keefe D, sir, this is what we call self-snitching. This is what we call, volunteering information that no one asked for. Now, if you had a proper agreement, which Keefe D has explained, which Greg Kading has explained, once you have something like a proper agreement and how the officer, Greg Kading, explained it, former officer, he says that when you have a proper agreement, it's something like Queen for a day. Basically saying, hey, the moment you say this and give us this information, at that very moment, in this very room, in this very closed interview, behind these closed doors, you are essentially immune to any charges, anything like that. You are not allowed to be prosecuted for anything that you tell me in this interview. However, once you walk out of this interview room, once you walk from behind these closed doors, you are now able to be charged. The minute that they got this confession from Keefe D in 2010, 12, whatever the year was, it was understood that Greg Kading explained this to Vegas PD. He gave up that information. He gave up the source. Hey, it came directly from Keefe D's mouth. He didn't want to be punished or held accountable or reap the consequences from the PCP and drug ring that he was in. So he gave us this information. Once that was done, Vegas needed proof. Vegas needed new evidence to enter into and reopen this investigation, this cold case murder on 2pac. Keefe D decides to go on a tell-all tour, or a tell on myself tour. And this is what he gets, man. 27 years later, you get the prize, okay? Do silly things, stupid things for clout, and you win stupid prizes. Now, as a 2pac fan, we've all wanted justice, okay? We've all wanted justice for Pac, or something to be done about him and Big L, these crimes of our favorite rappers to be solved. But as inner city members of society, knowing how the game works and knowing how the game goes, especially with gangs, we all know how gangs work. We know how the streets work. We know how the no snitching code works. We know how the don't tell on yourself works, okay? Just because you feel one way don't mean you don't feel another, okay? Nobody likes to be told on. Even as a child, when you do something, you don't like your little brother, your little sister, your cousin, you don't like nobody telling on you for something you did. You want to be able to get in trouble because you got caught, did the rights, okay? But you telling yourself when you turn yourself in, telling yourself when you decide to say, hey, that thing you asked me about when the window got busted, I did do that. You do that to get the weight off yourself. But you don't go and do that because, hey, I want everybody to know this is what I did, okay? Now, at the end of the day, like I said, us Pac fans, we want justice, but we also understand the streets and how they work. And you can't predict or control once you put your hands on someone how they're gonna react. So everybody has been held accountable and learned their lesson in this situation. As a result of the actions that took place on that night, 2pac is no longer with us. Suge Knight had to do some years in jail. And it started a war between the Southside Crips and the Mall Power along with Death Row. Right? You got that part. And you reap what you sow. So Orlando Anderson, you live by the gun, you die by the gun. Unfortunately, his life was taken before he could be prosecuted for the crime. And all the other members of the car who rode in that car that night, where those bullets was fired from this vehicle and exploded upon 2pac, all those members besides Keefe has now been deceased. Rest in peace to all parties involved. Now, once you know that, once you understand that, hey, everybody else that was in this car is deceased, my co-defendants, if you're Keefe, are deceased, and all of, 2pac is deceased, and Suge Knight won't speak on the matter. Even if he did see y'all and know exactly who y'all were, he did not speak on the matter. So, it leaves Keefe, okay? You went on the tell-all tour. You went on the Tell On Myself tour. So, the Tell On Myself tour has landed you in the hot box. Now you are officially and formally charged with the murder and or connection and conspiracy with the murder of 2pac Shakur. Keefe, you did this to yourself, brother. They gave you immunity in that moment. Your lawyers, somebody else should have explained to you that you did not have full-on complete immunity. Even if you have immunity in California, it does not mean that you have immunity in Las Vegas. So now that you did a Vlad interview, you told on yourself. You did all the dialogue interviews, you told on yourself. Bomb First, you told on yourself. Cam Capone, all these other platforms. When you did these interviews for these platforms, you told on yourself. Not once, not twice, but 3, 4, 5 times. Not to mention, after telling on yourself in that manner, you also written and documented, and God knows what they actually found in your house and who corroborated your stories before and after the fact of that night. So at the end of the day, sir, you brought this on yourself. Now, if you're bringing these charges and these things upon yourself as a 60-year-old man, you'll now have to go to trial. After you beat cancer, you'll now have to go to trial. Fight the trial, fight the case. Most likely, since you testified on yourself and on your own behalf, you snitched on yourself, and your nephew and all parties involved, even though they can't be tried or prosecuted, you told the whole situation. So they have you on record in writing. They have you, and then if you signed your book, hey, technically, you basically just signed your confession. Then they have you on video and numerous interviews, audio, recording, constantly saying what you did and how you did it. And your story is consistent with each and every interview. I decided to rewatch every last one of them. So I now know, hey man, this dude straight up told on himself. So now they have you telling on yourself. You are your own star witness in your case. And then Greg Kading recorded you, because his plan was to always get Vegas to reopen the investigation and pursue you as a person of interest, if not a suspect, in this crime, because Greg Kading has admitted this in interviews as well. And let's see, the interview or the confession that you did with Brad Kading and those officers, they still have that on record. So now there's 4 different ways to convict you of this crime, brother. It looks like you're going to jail for a very long time, possibly for the rest of your life, because you're 60 now. There's no way you're doing a 40, 50-year bid. Your life is over. Ladies and gentlemen, I like to welcome Keefe to the Silly Nigga Club. Yeah, bro, you went too far with your you went too far with your clout chasing. And gang members, charges like this come with gang enhancement. For the record, they definitely stated that it was gang enhancement attached to this situation. And to be honest with you, man, it's glad to see closure for the family of 2pac. Honestly, most people that was connected with Mal Pyru, and they would have liked to see street justice applied to this situation. Probably 2pac's family, they didn't care what type of closure they got. They just wanted this burden to be lifted off their shoulders. Prayers to the families of 2pac Shakur, and the other gentlemen who lost their lives around this situation. But yeah, man, it looks like this 60-year-old man is going to jail for the rest of his life. But you talked yourself into dying in jail, essentially. Do I feel sorry for Keefe D? Let me answer that question. Absolutely not. Because there's no statute of limitations on murder. You would have gotten away with it had you remained quiet. Had you just faded in the background and faded into obscurity, which you like the limelight, and liking and loving the limelight is what this gets you. Do I feel sorry for the family of Keefe D? I'm 50-50 split on that. Yeah, because, hey, man, you ain't gonna see grandfather again, your husband and all of that, but why I don't feel sorry? There's consequences and repercussions for everything that you do. So the fact that you murdered someone in cold blood and then decided to talk about it on numerous occasions, you got what you deserved, and pretty sure you bragged to it about your to your family, your homies, and what y'all did. 2pac have been bragging in the hood since '96. Yeah, so, but that's it, children. This is a lesson to be learned, man. Could have been another form of get back. Because it wouldn't even be this serious if they just caught up with 2pac and caught him or one of the death row members by themselves and beat the whole living hell out of them. I mean, but as Orlando and them being who they were and how things were, you couldn't go back to the hood with that on your jacket. You had to do something. So that's why they did what they did. But at the end of the day, 2pac should have never been involved in that situation, or whoever put him down with that play. Y'all deserve just as much culpability as anybody else in that situation. So rest in peace, 2pac. Prayers to the family of 2pac Shakur. Continue to rest in peace. You were one of the greatest artists of all time, and you are and will continue to be missed. And as for Keefe D, you got a lot of time to think about what you did and what you were a part of, and why you got the consequences that you got, man. So this has been another Gems TV production. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We are out, and kids, stay out the streets if you can avoid it. And if you are part of the streets, be smart enough to move on.
I was never really good playing role of the puppet. Too busy being me to be concerned with perception of the public.